So, what's your favorite scary movie? Well, here are a couple of mine. Yep, the first Scream is on the list. It's a legit great movie, even though by the time I saw the whole thing, it was spoiled for me because of its infamy. Fun ride though, but we are here to talk about Scream 6, which is now in theaters. I'll start with my usual non-spoiler beginning, and for those who haven't already seen it or don't care about spoilers, don't worry my little ghouls. I got a lot of spoiler talk waiting for you later. Let's get spooky. Okay, a little on the Scream franchise. The franchise as a whole is a bit of a mess. Most people don't like Scream 3, plenty of people don't like Scream 4. I liked it, but it was a sequel that took place like 10 years after Scream 3. It brought in new characters in a fairly decent way, but it's hard to really care about them as much as the legacy characters when all of them star in the movie, but are weirdly not given nearly as much screen time as you'd expect. Then Scream 5 came out like 10 years after that, and it's filled with characters nobody could possibly care about, and the legacy characters are present but given even less time than Scream 4, which begs the question of why bother have them in it if they're just gonna get like 2 scenes apiece? Overall, I will say I wasn't a big fan of Scream 5. I thought it was essentially a copy and paste of the previous movies. 2 killers, one's a boyfriend or love interest, and the other is a friend. Oh no, did I spoil Scream 5 for you? Why would you watch a review for Scream 6 if you haven't already seen Scream 5, which introduced the new cast?
Dumbass.
Had some good kills though. Scream 5 spoiler coming in hot.
Yes, today.
Rest in peace, Dewey. Know that your death entertained us all. There are a few other deaths in the film that were also done really well. The violence was definitely the highlight of the film, but Dewey's death was probably the best. But how is Scream 6? I'll say this, I really did like the New York setting. Felt like it was a nice change of scenery that could take it to a new, fresh level. The violence was top notch. Ghostface not only has some good, thrilling moments, but he is a powerhouse. He is a strong guy that gives 0 fucks. Oh, my victims are in a convenience store with several other people inside? Don't care. Oh, they are being protected by people with guns? Don't care. Oh, they're in a crowded subway? Don't care. Oh, they're at their home base surrounded by people who love and would help or protect them? Still don't care. The meta commentary, the dialogue, and the story, it's all basically the same level as the previous movies. It's tough to keep things new and fresh or whatever with a franchise that's basically based on satire. It feels repetitive, it kinda has to, and of course other slashers are guilty of this, but being self-aware doesn't really make it that special. Freddy kills people in their dreams in every movie. Jason comes back from the dead in like every movie. Leatherface has a chainsaw in every movie, and the Scream franchise has a scene where they do meta commentary talking about horror movies or horror movie rules in every movie. They follow some rules, but they also break some rules in, I think, every movie. So it kind of begs the question, do we really need this franchise to continue? Don't get me wrong, sequels will never stop happening. Even if they don't make it to theaters, there are plenty of horror franchises with a shit ton of sequels that I bet you've never heard of. Like Children of the Corn. There's like 6 or 7 of those and only 2 of them have made it to theaters. Someone keeps making those movies. And speaking of, feel free to check out my Children of the Corn review on my channel. And, you know, you can check out all of my other stuff too. Like and subscribe and all that other bullshit. So somebody keeps funding these movies and somebody keeps getting paid for them. As long as the movie is fun, I don't have any issues here. And my first thought on this film is, damn, that was fun. 8 out of 10, easy. However...
Oh man, there's always a catch.
Then I thought about it. This movie has a habit of lying to your face. There is a lot of violence, but not that many deaths. I don't want to spoil anything in my non-spoiler section, which is odd because the cast is getting bigger and bigger. But there are way too many characters that get messed up but don't actually die. Now there's nothing wrong with a surprise survival here and there, but in a slasher movie with this big of a cast, Is it so much to ask to have half a dozen more kills?
Fair enough.
And it's because of that, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. Just to give you a frame of reference here, I gave Scream 5 a 6 out of 10. Not terrible, but nothing special. In Rotten Tomatoes, critics currently have Scream 6 at a 76% and audiences at a 93%. I'm definitely with the critics on this one. Scream 6 has more oomph to it, but it felt hollow. You'll understand when you see the movie yourself, or stick around for my spoilers section, because that's going to start in 3, 2, 1. The movie starts off with how all of the other ones start. A lone woman gets a call that leads to either a death or an attempted kill. In this one, a lone woman is waiting for a guy to meet her up at a local bar and gets a call and the guy is running late. He's able to lure her out into an alleyway and she gets sliced up but not quite gutted, which typically happens as the first kill in these things. The killer unmasks himself right after, which is new, and he ditches his clothes for a fresh new pair. Ah, smart guy. I mean, bad. He's a bad guy. Moving on. He goes home and he gets a call from his roommate who is acting a bit suspicious. He lures him to the fridge where he sees his real roommate chopped to pieces inside, to which the real Ghostface pops up behind him and guts him.
Nice. Nice, guys.
Oh, and right before he kills him, Ghostface yells, "Who gives a fuck about movies?" Oh, so I guess this Ghostface isn't a cinephile, which is a fucking weird word if you ask me. The next scene cuts to Sam, the older sister, having a little therapy session where she admits that killing her psycho boyfriend from the last movie actually felt good, and that people have been spreading rumors that she organized the killings from the last movie and that she's the real Ghostface, but Dr. Pussy over here is like,
Yikes.
which makes her storm off in a huff. Shocking. Sam goes back home and finds out from her ginger friend Quinn that the younger sister Tara went to a frat party with a few friends. Sam is pissed and goes after her. At the party, Tara wants to intentionally make a stupid drunk decision with a guy, and all of her decent friends are like, "You probably shouldn't want to do this." But then Big Sister comes into the rescue and tases the guy in the balls. Probably the only action they've gotten from a chick who is actually sober. The main cast go home and Tara is pissed at Sam, but the second they get home, it's on the news, the killings from before, which are definitely Ghost-faced inspired. Sam is like, "We're leaving." Tara wants to stay and says that their friend Quinn's dad is a cop and he'll be able to give them more detail on it, so let's just hold off. They call the cop and he says that they need to come in for questioning, but on the way, the killer straight up calls Sam from her dead boyfriend's phone. Oh shit. He says that he's the one that killed the two phony killers to save them for himself, and then he comes out of nowhere and starts attacking them. They run into the gas station store where we get the infamous gas station scene from the trailers, and it's pretty sweet. High tension and all that. The gas station is a bit small for him to not know exactly where they are crawling around. There's like 3 aisles. Anyways, they're able to make it out to the front where the ghost face escapes from the back. They get to the police station and reveal that the killer left behind Sam's ID at the phony killer's crime scene. Then we get introduced to FBI agent Kirby, who is a returning character from Scream 4. Oh, and she apparently knows Sam because they went to high school together and remember each other, even though there was a 3-year difference between them and it's never been brought up before.
The thing is, Bob, it's not that I'm lazy. It's that I just don't care.
So Gail Weathers shows up and gets a nice punch in the face from Tara, but she weighs probably like 80 pounds soaking wet, so there's never an actual mark from it. But the reason Gail is there is to kind of help out, but the real reason she's there is because she wants to write another book on the incident to stay relevant, because she wrote one about Scream 5. But the real reason she's here is to tell us that Sidney Prescott is not going to be present. Which could be a misdirect. Everyone who pays attention to horror news would have heard that Sidney Prescott isn't in this film for like money reasons. Personally, I didn't really give a shit. She was a non-entity in Scream 5, so they are kind of already moving towards getting rid of her character anyways, but it would be very clever marketing if they did all of that just for her to pop up at the end of this film, but I don't want to jump the gun just yet. We then jump to the therapist who is getting a pretty decent death. Ghostface punches through a window to pull him forward and stabs him in the cheek. They later say it was the nose, but it definitely looked like the cheek. Anyways, I guess he is no longer a suspect and Ghostface grabs Sam's file. They do the classic meta thing and lay out the new rules because this is a sequel-requel. Rule 1, everything has to be bigger than the last time. Rule 2, everything is opposite. Rule 3, everything goes and anyone can die, which should be the rule for all horror movies. If you want me to feel real fear or thrill of a story, I need to get the impression that on some level anyone could die. Sometimes anyone actually can die, and sometimes the writing or directing just fails to put the protagonist or any of the supporting characters in any threatening situations that actually feel like they wouldn't make it out of. Moving on. So the list of suspects are the core 4 original cast members who survived Scream 5. I mean, technically they could be the killer, but I seriously doubt it. Then there is the slutty roommate Quinn, her cop father, Kirby, Gail, maybe Sydney, Ethan, who is the shy roommate of Chad, the brother twin, Annika, who is the girlfriend of Mindy, the sister twin, and Danny, Sam's secret boyfriend that lives in the same apartment complex as them all. Later on, everyone is watching TV and trying to enjoy themselves, but then Ghostface comes in.
Okay, I stopped for a second. I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know if I can do this. Then he said, I got it. And I kicked that fucking door off its hinges.
If he isn't your favorite part of the movie by now, then you're a lost cause. He is able to kill Quinn's latest hookup, and Quinn straight up pushes her through a door with her throat slit. Danny is able to get a ladder from window to window over a very steep drop for everyone inside to escape. Everyone does, but Annika is the last one to cross over, but she got gutted pretty bad, and Ghostface wants to have a little fun, so he bounces the ladder up and down until she falls to her death, and then he bolts. The cop dad breaks down after his daughter's death, and he is no longer on the case. Gail comes in for some help and leads everyone to a broken down theater where someone built a shrine dedicated to all the Ghostface killings or Scream movies. Okay, rule 1 complete. The Ghostface killer is leaving behind masks from the previous movies. It's not really that important, but Sam has a moment where she sees her psycho killer real father. I guess he never left. They plan to trap the killer in the open during the day. The sisters go out in the park while Kirby tracks any incoming calls. They get the call and are able to trace it, but it's from the opposite side of town. Who is missing? Uh-oh, Gail. So we get the Gail fight scene, which is really well done. The action, the humor, her random boyfriend gets killed because he's a fucking chump. Gail does a bit too well in this fight at some moments, which took me out of it because Ghostface up until this point has been quite the powerhouse. He's able to trick her and slices into her gut with a big piece of glass, but before the finishing blow, Sam and Tara come in to the rescue and Ghostface takes off. Gail fades away while saying, "Tell Sydney that he didn't get me." And then the paramedics come in and try to save her. You sure he didn't get you, Gail? You seem pretty dead to me. Anyways, they go to the subway to get back to the theater. They make a plan to trap the killer in the theater for an execution, and everyone is on board with it, being open about it being an actual execution.
Yes! Yes! Oh, yeah! Can you feel that, buddy? Huh? Huh? Huh?
So we get the infamous subway scene and the group is split up. Most of them are in the first train, but Mindy and Ethan are stuck together, but Mindy really thinks he is the killer, so she keeps her distance. To her detriment, because Ghostface shows up on the subway and guts her and gets away, no problem. A little unbelievable, but I'm having fun. Anyway, she's able to get out and Ethan tries to help her before the medics get there. While she's bleeding out, she cries, "Damn it, I got it wrong again." So the cop dad gets a call and Kirby is not part of the FBI anymore. Not super surprising, but I'm still having fun. So they get to the theater and by the time the cop calls the group to warn them about Kirby, they are already sealed into the place and they can't get out. Ghostface appears and a common thing that happens in this film is that everyone runs away when they get the upper hand against Ghostface. They never take advantage of the moment, which is frustrating, but whatever. Chad does well with his third encounter with Ghostface, but then a second Ghostface comes in and they knife him 20 times. Brutal stuff. Sam and Tara run away and meet up with Kirby, but they don't trust her. Then the cop dad comes in and they got their guns drawn on each other. Ghostface comes up from behind the cop dad. Kirby is distracted and the cop shoots Kirby. But both Ghostface killers appear, they take off their masks, and it's Ethan and Quinn, with their dad dead center. Oh, there's 3 killers. Finally, something new. So nobody knew Ethan was related to Quinn, nor the cop dad. And the big reveal, the reason behind all of this is a revenge plot against Sam because she killed one of their siblings, who is Richie, Sam's boyfriend from Scream 5, which makes this plot essentially the same as Scream 2.
Whippy!
I mean, it's not terrible that they made the killers connected to something that happened in the previous movie. It would probably be better than some rando that they introduce in this movie, unless they were going to be really ballsy and make the killer out to be either Sam or Tara, but putting my clearly better plot ideas aside, let's finish up the movie. So a big fight, which is kind of a cat and mouse chase for the most part. There is a really funny part where Kirby has a knife in her belly and Sam walks up and says, "Sorry, I need this," and then rips it out of her. Tara stabs Ethan in the mouth, Sam shoots Quinn in the head. Sam against the cop is a fight that's filled with plot armor, which, sucked. He gets knocked out for a bit, then they play with him a little before getting the upper hand, like in the first movie. There is a moment where they almost spare him because Sam, quote, isn't the killer he thought she was. But then she's like, you did hurt my family, and then they kill him. Phew. Close call. We almost had a very lame-ass ending. Oh, and Ethan comes back at the last second, which gives Kirby the opportunity to actually be useful in this movie and shoots him down. The movie ends with the injured being taken care of by the paramedics. Kirby survives. Mindy comes back to warn everyone after it's all over and is proven right, so she gets a little moment there. She also reveals that Gale survived. Okay. And then Chad gets wheeled out and he survived. Okay, what the actual hell here? How could he have possibly survived all those stabbings? Anyways, there's a moment where Sam has a ghost face mask in her hand and she's thinking about taking up the mantle, but she tosses it aside and the movie ends. Okay, the praise again. The movie has some good humorous moments. It has some brutal kill scenes. There were moments where I was a bit afraid of Ghostface. The guy had a powerful presence and showed some pretty awesome determination. Most of the acting is done well. The dialogue isn't really anything groundbreaking, but I wouldn't really call it bad. Now the criticism. The story is basically the same shit, different day. The only thing that's new is that there were 3 killers, which I liked, but that's about it. Alright, now on to the title of the video. The reason I wrote "It's not as good as you think" is that I like this movie without having a moment to actually think about it. But now that I have, there are clearly some problems here. Rule 2 is everything that happened in the previous one will be the opposite here. The only way that works is if you actually think about it, like they didn't kill any of the returning characters or none of the core 4 that they like to say in the movie. Other than that, I mean, the Ginger was a friend of Tara's in this one, and one of the killers from the last movie was also Tara's friend. And rule 3 was just to mess with us, cause almost no one died in this movie. Let's go down the list of characters. There's Sam, Tara, Chad, and Mindy from Scream 5. New characters are Cop Dad, Quinn, Ethan, the therapist, Annika, and Danny. Legacy characters are Kirby and Gale. Would have been a nice twist if Neve came back because all of the publicity that happened before the movie came out, but I guess it doesn't matter. And like 7 throwaway characters, the 2 killers from the beginning, the teacher, Gale's boyfriend, and then 3 guys in the gas station. Sam and Tara are pretty fine at the end. Both Chad and Mindy are teased at being killed but don't die. Quinn has a fake death that turns out to be one of the killers. Ethan and the cop are both killers. The therapist dies, who cares? Annika dies, but she was a brand new character, so Danny survives without a scratch. Both Kirby and Gale are teased at dying, but neither do, and all of the throwaway characters die. So by the end of the film, really only one person we were supposed to really care about dies, and the other people that die are characters that didn't really matter. If you take away all of those, this film really seems to be written by people who are too afraid of killing off anyone important, added one love interest, and brought back another legacy character, and honestly, who cares? I liked her because she was a horror head in Scream 4, but other than that, there was already a lot of talk of her being brought back into the movie before it actually even came out, which really ruined the shock value of, oh, Kirby returned, she actually survived. And it's because of this big final reason the movie is getting a definitive 7 out of 10 for me. If the movie had more balls, it could have been an 8 and stayed an 8. But let me know what you all think, and remember, stay spooky.